where Harrow meets Elgin, the ghost of the mother that no one ever saw. A madman gesticulates and walks around the tree, talks to no one incessantly, thrusts hands through air where nobody is or has been.
And yeah. And on that same session, he did a poem called York Ghost Walk. So I believe, that's why I believe that the Maida Vale was also from England.
Yeah.
Oops. That's the problem with these things. If you click them too many times.
York Ghost Walk. Preface this, if you're ever in the city of York, it's in northwest England, I'd recommend one of the finest things you can do is go on one of the many ghost tours through that city. York Ghost Walk. A throbbing swarm of starlings back and forth, the sky is licking across the dimming twilight like a mouth opening and closing, like a mouth humming and howling as we cross the bridge tonight. The animals are feeding. The animals are breeding. They nest beneath the bridge we cross to meet the haunting shades of Roman columns marching, the fine lady hanging from a ledge. We are tourists to the evening where we meet the dire dawning, intuitions from the dance of death, rising from the earth like lightning into the starry clockwork vaulting towards the next fantastic sunny birth.
All right. Thank you. Keep back, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah.
At the end of tonight, stay around for the end of tonight, because at the end of tonight, we're going to do one last one, a poem from Steve called "When I Am Dead." Seemed appropriate enough, and
He's our closer too.
That's it.
Yeah, no, he's the closer and the opener, theoretically.
He's the opener and the closer. Okay, so I'll break some of the gear down. We'll have the rest of the poetry reading. Stick around for the end. And as I said, anybody who wants one of these DVDs, I've got some extras here. And if we run out of extras, just give me your name and address, and I'll mail it to you. Okay? Thank you.
So we're gonna, this is not plugged in.
There's something I must say.
Let me just plug that in.
There we go.
So,
Oh,
hold on. It's working. I know, but it's not the volume. Not working.
all right. So Bill Mercer is coming up now. He hasn't been here in a while, so give him a huge round of applause. Huge round of applause. Huge.
All right, welcome back home.
And while he's there, yeah, everything is all set for you. But let me just make a quick note. After him, we have Christopher, Clara, John, Stephanie, Jack, Kate, Owen, me, Cesar, and Mads, all the way from Denmark. And then Martin Joseph before our mini feature pairing. So be aware of your time, because I want to make sure I get everybody on and nobody's saying, I didn't get you ready.
I'm not going to say that.
I know, but you're going to read right now.
I'm going first.
Yeah.
Well, I'm honored because this is Steve's spot first. He was always first, so somebody has to be. I guess it's me. The linchpin of my relationship with Steve was Yates. So I'm going to read. This is a poem he wrote. A letter from W.B. Yeats to me. My dear Mackin. Greetings from the gyre, from the ash and the fire that burn and glow in the eye of Blake's tiger. Your old friend Dr. Joseph once asked if it was good enough to rise without censure, pass through this spiritus magnus at the center of sorrow's mirror. Well, shall I quote from Aristotle? Does it surprise like the soul poised inside the body's bottle? If we open it up and fill the cup, does it form the rose of the world?
That was Bill Mercer back for his seasonal visit to San Francisco. Woo! All right, this brings us to Chris Christian. Thank you. You have your last name on there. That's what's cool. Christian, then Clara, then John, then Stephanie, then Jack, then the Magna
I
Cum
remember
Laude Proud Tuba Band with their gold flutes playing Indigada to beat it B flat minor.
Don't blame me for what happened, but this was the last painting that Steve commissioned me to do, the Raven. One of my favorite pictures. He loved it. Steve Mackin was a bard,
Yes.
and as you know, Johanna was a druid, a real one, and so I'm going to read just a couple of lines about the bard in this book on the druids. The bards were the keepers of tradition, the memory of the tribe. They were the custodians of the sacred word. There were many levels of accomplishment, but the most skillful bards were held in high esteem and partook of many of the functions of the druids. And by William Blake, Songs of Experience, oh, hear the voice of the bard, who present, past, and future sees, whose ears have heard the holy word, and walked among the ancient trees. And that's what Steve was to me, was a bard, not just a poet. Deirdre, who couldn't be here tonight, wrote a little one for Steve, missing you, for Steve Mackin. Steve Mackin, my friend, I'll miss you till we meet again. You were number one, the bard of sacred grounds, and it is hard to know I'll not be seeing you here. I'll miss you, but I do not fear that we won't meet again. I can't tell where or when, but when I will see you again, I'll say, there's Steve Mackin, the bard, my friend, and I'm glad you went to Europe again before your time with us would end. Steve, I'll miss you at the beginning of each reading, and I know many times your poetry I'll be a-needing when I am down and you are not nowhere to be found. So long, Steve, see you around everywhere that life abounds.
Yeah.
And then I'll read one of mine and then one of Steve's. This is for him, Man Against Time. A great stone out of Stonehenge has fallen. The poet Steve Mackin is dead. Steve wrote the way they used to. He wrote the poetry that turned us on in school, if we were poets, and turned us off if we were only human. He was a man against time, against silly progress and fads, popularity and people. And now he lies like a great stone on the sodden earth, and we must raise him up. Stonehenge is a piano keyboard of the Holy Spirit. It cannot lose a key, so we must not bury Steve, but raise him up like a phallus, up like a poet, because we are his poets, the poets against time. So we must raise him up like an exclamation mark, up like a god, up like a middle finger, defiant, pointing at the stars.
Yeah.
And then a short one of Steve's, but a short and to the point, because he understood that what the story of the Minotaur is. And this was the first thing I ever heard him read when we talked about the Minotaur. The Minotaur, a labyrinth, is not a puzzle to be solved. but a path that unfolds under the footfall. There's but one path, so there's but one goal. And the only revelation is your true nature. And your true nature is darker than pitch. That's why the walls of reason were wrought to hide your nature from torches of truth. For we would breed homicide into the bull. The taste for blood is the essence of youth. And I know I would rather kill than breed. I know that there is a cannibal inside of me. My nature's toxic to the capacity for thought. And those abilities of thought are rancid to the experience of my soul's sinister truth.
Ooh, well done.
Proceed.
Thank you. Bruce Trian, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So we have the next set is Clara, then John, then Stephanie, then Jack. So give Clara a nice round of applause, please.
Oh, we'll try to get some of this stuff out of the way.
I like
Margaret
this.
Thatcher said she couldn't be here, by the way. She's
How about
busy-
Reagan?
She's busy, they're busy decomposing.
Thatcher's telling her that.
Sorry.
Clara.
Clara Sue.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to say something about Steve before I read the poem. I've been carrying a secret about Steve, and I thought that I would release it now to everybody. Carlos wanted to go to El Salvador, and we did a fundraising for him, and Carlos got his money really fast.
Yes,
And part of the reason was because Steve basically financed him.
yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Majority
that's
of the money,
very
it was
generous.
from Steve, but Carlos, Steve wouldn't let anybody talk about it, told Carlos not to tell anybody,
Right.
but Carlos told me, and I had to keep my mouth shut.
Oh,
But
good.
now that both of them are dead,
Yeah.
we can, certainly, he's the most generous person I've known, it's
Yeah.
wonderful.
It's amazing.
Anyway, I wrote something, and then I decided that it probably would be best if I just read Steve's poem, but I sort of sandwiched his poems with a couple little things of my own. And the two poems that I'm reading by Steve, one is from the Thin Line Between the City and the Sea, one of the poems in the suite. And the other one is Dark Eyes, but I'll start with my own first. The wounded god chuckled, picked up his fog latte triple shots, threw down a stack of poems, and walked out. Once he ran across the waves of dune, chasing lust towards the ghastly moon, melting like wax upon the wine-dark mare, melting like music, a throbbing in the air, like six guts quavering in a wooden bell. And so it was within that disintegration, within the bold luminescence of the night, that her ghost rose up to harry him and freeze his blood with the breath of the fall, yet entice him with visions of compassion, entice him with visions of an immortal soul. He laughed, thinking, they don't in heaven, but maybe they laugh somewhere in hell. Or maybe laughter is unique to the living. Maybe laughter is that bone-tolling bell, rising through the flesh, furiously singing. For maybe it rises from the wall in the soul. The gentle breezes touched the trees, and sunlight poured across cathedral walls. Paris seemed to be but distant dreams, yet from where I sat, I heard the toll of bells. But this is such a different world, where bourgeois fancies now the prize, where love's defiled by flats unfurled, and all I see are dark eyes. A blind man sits upon a bridge of sighs, and sings a forlorn song for beauty. but he must rail against 10,000 lies drowned by martial songs of duty. The rut of truth now seems complete, for I must love what I despise. I feel the hot blood poured around my feet, and all I see are dark eyes. The poets raging in the street, and dire are the words of prophecy. I see cruelty when tongues are sweet, as madmen sing to us of ecstasy. Sun is gone, so the moon grows bold, and sorrow dawns an old disguise. The night grows hard and bitter cold, and all I see are dark eyes. But a young girl sleeping by the quiet pool, and a young boy lies beside her deep in prayer, and I know